All right, hey, tonight we're going to look at probably one of the most interesting new chest rigs on the market, the Marauder Threadworks Hyde. It's pretty slick. If you look at the website, it can be a little daunting and confusing trying to figure out what it actually does. So we'll throw it down on the table and take a look at it, and hopefully you guys have a better understanding. Even up until I actually took it out of the package and started playing around with it, there were things that I didn't fully grasp. So let's take a look at some of those, and hopefully you guys will dig this thing as much as I do. All right, so I wanted to start by looking at the back of the Marauder Threadworks Hyde because this part is what threw me off the most as I was looking at the website. He does a good job of listing all the capabilities of this thing, but it's a little confusing where they come into play. The first one, and the biggest one in my mind, being the two double pistol pockets. All right, so the waist strap / cummerbund of this thing is a separate piece that's anchored from his shop with this shock cord. He mentions that you can use paracord if you want it a little bit less dynamic, but that, from the pictures I remember, that doesn't really show up very well. But what happens is you've got kind of this Y harness coming over the top, and it's got a little webbing pass through here, and you're going to run your shock cord or 550 cord through there and then through the top of the cummerbund here, and that's going to be the bulk of the harness where the Y ties into the back. And then you have this elasticized strip here that's terminated in a double pistol pocket on each side, as well as these little 550 cord loops here, which you can use to route some shock cord for tourniquet retention, potentially flashbang retention, or whatever your heart desires. All right, I've got two PMag 21s in there just for size reference. A good bit of the mag is exposed for pulling it out of there with the 21s. As you get shorter, obviously it's going to get closer to the limits of the pouch. So I don't know how short you would actually want to go on that. Glock 17 mag might work out pretty well. I don't know about a 19. I think that would sit really low in there. But that wraps around and then has this full hook interface here to attach it to the front of the chest rig. So that's the back of the Marauder Threadworks Hyde. And I'm going to flip this thing over now, and we'll just kind of keep this out of the way because there's a good bit of Velcro on here, and if I don't, it's going to get all tangled up on us. All right, so now that we've got the rear portion of the harness kind of tucked out of the way, let's kind of work our way down from the top. All right, so it has this nice 2-inch unpadded Y harness. The unpadded aspect really doesn't matter because it's got the nice width there, which is going to have some inherent load-bearing capabilities to it. And then he's added several features on here, much like the parachuter gear integrated communication harness. The whole thing has pass-throughs. So you've got 3 separate webbing pass-throughs here, which are 2-inch with 1-inch on top. That's probably not going to show up very well. But so you've got the 1-inch right there, and then underneath it you have 2-inch webbing. And there's 3 of those with pass-through for each one. And then the lower portion of the harness here is also pass-through from the top of this 2-inch section all the way down to where we go into the body of the chest rig. All right, and that's really handy for comms routing, or if you wanted to have a fixed blade knife in there or something like that, it would accept that pretty well. All right, and then on the flanks, you've got radio pockets here. So I got a 152 replica, right? Don't rat me out to CID, it's replica. And then Motorola brick. And both of those fit in there really well. The pocket's elasticized on the back, so you've got plenty of room for your side connectors there. I suppose there's a small chance, like if you're doing something crazy, you could kind of work the radio loose, but I haven't had that happen yet. So the 152 fills it out a little bit better with regards to that, but it holds both radios really well. And then according to the website, there's a third radio pocket. So if you wanted to have a horizontal radio, You've got this bottom pocket here. It also fits a smoke grenade really well. It's a little bit big for a flashbang, but it does have retention straps coming off both sides that you could adjust the tension on, and you could probably retain a flashbang in there well enough if that was something you wanted to do. Or if you're all hip to the SDR or SCR, I'm sorry, software controlled radio thing, you could have a Bofang down there, and then the associated phone or whatnot velcroed onto the front of this thing, so you could do your whole SCR game without interfering with comms, since the radio is kind of dedicated to the SCR stuff. Right. Again, you got the two side radios, and then there's also more paracord tabs there, so you can do some more shot cord arts and crafts. You've got your 3 centered M4 sized magazine slots there. No complaints on those. Plenty of magazine exposed, so it's easy enough to get your mags out of there. And then behind that you have a Velcro sealed admin pocket, right? It's not really lined with Velcro. It's just the top lip there, so it's more of a map pocket than something that would accept an elastic insert. Although I'm sure if you really wanted to, you could have something made that would just interface with that top inch. And then you can see the pass-through here going up into the harness for whatever cable routing that you wanted to do. All right, so that's kind of the Marauder Threadworks Hyde chest rig explained at a pretty basic level. I'm sure there's a lot more stuff that can be done with this thing once you start looking at routing some shot cord. You could have some Velcro retention on the radio pockets, so you have a top loop on it. Lots of different options to play around with this thing as you're configuring it with comms routing and whatever you wanted in your pass-throughs. You've got the double pistol pockets. You've got room for a flashlight, multi-tool opposite of your pistol mags, and then the 3 potential radio pockets. You know, if you were trying to really slim stuff down, maybe you have underslung horizontal radio and you don't use the side radio pockets. You just close up on top of that kind of empty space. All sorts of options there, and I can just show you real quick how the pistol mags interface here. So they just Velcro on top of your radio like so. I will say there's a good bit of hook floating around on this chest rig in various spots, so whatever you're going to wear this on top of, give that a little bit of consideration. Your like Under Armour type shirts are going to fall victim to this chest rig pretty quick, but like a tighter weave cotton type shirt should probably fare pretty all right. Same thing if you're wearing a garment on top of this thing. You've got some hook on the front face of the pistol mags, so just be aware that whatever's going on top of this thing, especially if it's like a flannel shirt, is going to start interfacing with your chest rig, perhaps a little bit more than you intended. All told, it's a pretty slick, low-profile chest rig that still has decent carrying capacity, and above all else, it is very, very comfortable with the sizing that you can do on the harness. Give it the shot cord or 550 cord, and then how tight you pull the sides on that. Very comfortable chest rig. I think it's really creative. It's nice to see people trying new ideas, and the Marauder Threadworks Hyde is absolutely one of those things.